Welcome aboard, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We've got another round the world tour flight on today. Back on this little lot. I've been away from this for far too long. We're still over in Asia, and today departing out of China. It's Hangzhou Milan International Airport. Hangzhou. That's the departure ICAO Zulu Juliet Hotel Kilo. And heading across to Vietnam. Cat B International Airport in Haiphong, and that's the ICAO Victor Charlie India. I have downloaded we've got some scenery at the departure airport, as you might have seen. The world scenery over here can be a little bit, doesn't quite match up, but we'll do the best. We'll enjoy the scenery of what we've got, and unfortunately the scenery I have downloaded, the ortho scenery, it's there, but it doesn't look particularly great. But anyway, we'll crack on. We'll get on with the flight. As you can see, we are in the DC3. I used to love this aircraft. I used to fly it lots and lots and lots. So I've got some batteries on. Let's see if I can remember how to fly it now. We need to get some fuel pumps on. We will put the right engine to start. Let's see if we do get a start on this engine. Do we need anything else? I think that's okay. Oh no, I've got to put the the mixture went up, so that's good. So if we go to the outside view, we should have an engine running. We do indeed. So let's get the other one started. Should be both engines going now. Looks like we haven't got our brakes on. Okay, and yes, we are in a very bright yellow DC3 Dougie. It's one of the paint schemes that comes with the aircraft. This is a very, how shall I say, hands-on aircraft. Very, very hands-on. And I'll give the engines a minute or two to warm up. There isn't really any navigation as such. Going to be flying sort of by dead reckoning. I know we need to be flying at about heading of 300. Should make sure our heading bugs are set. We've got the autopilot set to about 300. Okay, we'll let the engines warm up as we taxi out. Just make sure the brakes are off. Make sure the tail wheel's unlocked. Give her a little bit of gas. So make sure we've got, props are full forward, mixtures are up. And we can turn on our navigation lights. We'll put the generators on so we don't run out of energy. Put the window heats on. Not going to be flying that high today, probably go to about 3,000 feet. We actually want the lower one out so we can steer. Steering this thing is very difficult. Because you can't really see where you're going. So outside view's quite a bit. Andy Robinson, welcome along to the stream, sir. Welcome along to the flight. It is absolutely stunning aircraft. This is the Payware one. I can't even remember which one it's called. Is it the VVCI Labs? Have to taxi it very slowly. I'm hoping once we get a little bit of sunlight in the cockpit, might feel a bit brighter, because it does feel a bit dark. And odd flaps on this one, because they don't go out to notches, you just sort of put them out a little bit and put them out a lot when you're landing. Departing from runway 9 today, if we have a look at the AVI tab, we'll be departing out of runway 9, we'll probably make a right turn, come back round. So actually, as I say, we'll be flying at about a heading of 300. The reason I have a love for this aircraft, in my very early days of flight simming, the very first virtual airline that I joined, something called Fly Ace, an Australian-based aviation virtual airline, wasn't based on any particular airline, but you flew routes in predominantly prop-based aircraft. And well, the DC3 was one of my favourite aircrafts. This was back in the day of, I think we FS95, FS98. So obviously I'm talking 20 years ago. But this aircraft and the C-130 were two of the higher aircraft you could fly for that virtual airline. I'm sure we've got lots of other stuff to talk about while we're on this flight. Obviously, the news of the FS 2020. Can have a bit of a discussion about that one. Been thinking about that quite a bit before I had a discussion on it. I want to see, one of the main things I would like to see is the pricing. I think I did mention it lightly on another streamed flight. But yeah, the pricing is what's going to make or break it. But we'll talk about that more in the flight. Let's make sure. I'm going to make the turn here. She likes to overturn, I remember. Okay, let's get some landing lights on. Right, I can go back to the seated position, I think.
Approaching 09. On runway 09.
Right, two things I want to do. I'm going to put the parking brake on. I'm going to take off put the tail wheel lock on. Back up front, get a little bit of height so we can see the runway. And I think we're about ready. Let's get out of here. Dougal, just popping in. Thanks very much, buddy. Thanks for the like. Berger, is this payware? Yes, this aircraft is payware, sir. And it's going very well. Both Berger and Dougal, thanks for joining. Even if you're only just popping in, hopefully Berger's in for a little bit longer. There we go, just lined up on runway 9. So, brakes off.
On runway 09. On runway 09.
Power her up gently. We are taking off in the right direction, always good. Up comes the tail. And we're up. Flaps up. Try and get her trimmed out. We'll throttle back a little bit. This aircraft always feels like it's flying into the ground compared to most aircraft, because your tail comes up very high. Right, make the turn round to about 300. Take a lot of the mixture out. Oh. Oh, bit of a lock up there. Oh, do the fly now bit. It is a very dark cockpit. I've been thinking that, Dougal. I was hoping once we got into the light. But this aircraft has some very cool features. Once we get trimmed up a little bit and flying straight and level. It always feels like it's flying slowly as well. We are chipping along at 185 knots, nearly 190 knots. Right, let's see if the autopilot will hold us straight and level. Almost. Yeah, that'll do. One of the things I want to show you, let's go visit the galley. So this is one of the views that you get with X camera, with the aircraft. It's quite a dark aircraft. There must be some lights somewhere that I'm missing. If anybody knows or can find out. Dougal, yes, the Mercs treat me well. Not getting to drive it that much, I must admit. Can't have a stream without a burger. Can't have a stream without a bit of food. And talking of that, got my cup of tea. Don't worry, got my cup of tea. And I'm not advertising a previous employer. Rocking my pilot cap for the day, got me. And today's t-shirt, I'm a pilot. It's frightening, isn't it? Frightening, isn't it? Have I tried the Flying Iron Spitfire? I haven't done yet, I don't think. I might have a Spitfire. I'll give it a try. If you're putting in a request there, Dougal, you can always accommodate a Dougal request. I might, even later, a little bit later on after this flight as well, there's a possibility I'm going to be jumping on the Swift client with the new voice codec and giving that a spin. Over the last couple of days I've just been watching how it develops and how it works. I have to confess, Gatwick yesterday at prime time was probably busier than the real world Gatwick. Heathrow as well. I mean, there was literally quite a few times I was getting server is full. I don't normally get that unless it's across the pond day, but I've been getting that for the last couple of days. Nice looking chair. What is it, and is it comfortable for long periods? Dougal, it's what's called an Obatu, and it is actually a full-on racing cockpit simulator, racing cockpit rig, should I say. So you can mount 3 screens, and it works for both. I think I've mentioned before, I do a lot of driving sims, but I do flight sims as well, and it works well for both. So is it comfortable for long periods? Yes. I've sat in this chair for very long periods doing very long endurance races and can thoroughly say yes. But it's like any car chair, you have to kind of, what I do call seat dancing. It comes from when I used to be a field service engineer. I used to spend a lot of time in the car driving, and if you don't move about, you end up getting very sore, backache, leg ache, numbness. So with any seating, I think if you're seated for any long period of times, you have to sort of try and exercise yourself if you're not going to be getting up. Obviously in a driving sim, you don't have the ability, if you're driving in the race, you don't have the ability for maybe an hour or 2 hours to get up and walk around. Whereas in a flight sim, you kind of can. You can click the autopilot on, or you can maybe, like I am now, just straight and level. You can get up and go and have a little walk about. We're hoping XP will be on later. Yes, hoping so. I gave him a couple of pointers on the Swift client, because what I've found with the latest version, the alpha version of Swift, don't need to be using the AFV. It's already installed in 0.93. So I was just sent him a couple of little tips and tricks on how to refresh the audio and hopefully get the audio working properly. And yeah, EU VATSIM was lit up like a Christmas tree. I couldn't agree more. Yesterday was absolutely crazy. It's good. It's really good to see the VATSIM community really busy again. There's nothing like busy airspace. I did have a little look yesterday evening at Chicago. I think because they have a much bigger spread of airports in the US, it doesn't get quite so concentrated. I mean, in the UK we do have quite a lot of airports, but it tends to concentrate around Heathrow and Gatwick. So those two airports can be very, very busy at prime time. Now, this was actually the chair, the cockpit race sim rig was actually bought for me as a birthday present. I'm going to say by one of my exes, but after last night's comment, it's not that one. But yeah, it was quite expensive back in the day. There are cheaper versions of it now. The Obatu Revolution, I think it's called. You can buy it much more modular. I've looked at upgrading mine, but I'm quite happy with the one I've got. It's a little bit... I can't get enough movement in it. There's only the chair goes backwards and forwards. I would like to be able to move the chair back a lot further. So if I was using VR, sometimes when I'm using VR, if I've got the controllers in my hand, I end up punching my monitors. So I have to be a bit careful of that. We'll be doing some more VR flights soon as well, because yeah, VR's been getting into that again. You've gone over to X-Pilot. Okay, I think, as I was saying to... as I was saying to XP, I think we're back into the development stages of the VVCI clients. Obviously we've upgraded to Swift, which worked quite well. Very difficult to install, but it worked. And now we've got X-Pilot come along as well with the new, obviously the release of the new codec from VVCI. The two new clients are now in development, and they're a bit hit and miss on some of the things that are working and not working, and it'll get ironed out. I'm hoping they'll get there. And are we still flying in the right direction? I think we've gone a little bit off course. Let me check my AVI tab. Yeah, quite a bit off course. Need to be aware of that. Let's turn the autopilot off. You got fed up with flying on VVCI. You haven't flown over a year. I was a lot like that. I didn't. How should I say? I got a little bit fed up with flight sims, to be honest. I have these jumping from genre to genre. I'll quite often go from a driving sim back to the flight sim, and then go and play something else. Some of you may have been noticing I've been having a little play around in the PokerStars VR. It's only play money, but it's been one of my other little treats with VR. You feel quite like you're sitting at a table with other people, and it can be quite a lot of fun. But I have been back on the driving sims. I've re-subbed up to iRacing. When I went go-karting recently with my work, I got the bug again to go driving. But right, that should be us more or less back on course. We need to keep an eye on that we're flying at about a heading of 300. Let's just check on AVI tab. We are now floating in the right direction. So we're heading off to Haiphong, this place here. So yeah, we're kind of in the right direction. We'd probably go left a little bit more. Little boat down there, I can see. I'm one of these lucky guys. I have all the toys. What is it they say? You can tell the age of the boys by the cost of his toys. But you miss the racing sims, DCS. Your reaction times aren't fast enough anymore. anymore after being ill. Sorry to hear that, Dougal. I think it comes to all of us, unfortunately, that the reaction times get slower and slower and slower. It's one of the things. It's happened to me. I've noticed over the years. I play less and less the driving sims and more the flight sims because I feel you probably don't need the reaction times as much. Let me turn the aircraft down just a little bit so I'm not shouting. But I'll talk to you more offline, Dougal, with regards to being ill. And yeah, we enjoy the flight sims, bro. Enjoy the flight sims. I think another thing as well I enjoy with the co-pilot stuff, you're not always 100%. You're not the one solely in control, if you know what I mean. You've got someone else giving you a bit of backup. I've actually uninstalled DCS recently. I realised how big a game it was, and I took it off. It's a bit too big for me. Oh. Right, I'm trying to stay at about 2,000 feet here, on roughly this sort of heading. We are turning left now. Right, we'll see how that does. We're flying in sort of like the right direction. Let's have a little look. Shall we have a little look around the rest of the aircraft? I think we've got some. There's a wing view. Out one of the old square windows. Was that an aircraft carrier we've just gone past? I do believe it is. Could try and touch and go on it, I suppose. I'm actually not a very big hat wearer. I say that I do wear them quite a bit, but I don't like wearing them for a long period. Nice to see Project Fly getting sorted. Yes, very much so. I think it was a good rally round from the community. You know, Matt is like Marmite. He comes up with some great ideas and manages to put those ideas into practice. I would like to see him get some good business advice on how to set it up so that it can maintain itself, because this is going to lead me into another segment on FS 2020, so let's talk about that as well. But subscription basis, yeah, Matt is Marmite because of the way his stream is. The interactions he has can be quite negative, I will give you that, but if you've ever seen him on stream, if you've ever stuck with him for a little bit and watched some of his musical stuff, he's a very good musician. So if you can put up, I've often watched him on mute, to be honest, but then when I see him pull out an instrument, more often than not it's his keyboard in the background. Thoroughly good musician. Obviously knows his flight sims very well, obviously knows his programming, and yeah, just would really like to see. He needs to make it a subscription based model. I think a lot of people, I've seen it discussed in a number of the Discord channels, $1 a month. I think he could charge $2 a month, $20 a year, to subscribe, and I'm 99% sure a lot of people would stay with it, would subscribe. Maybe $1 a month, $10 a year, I don't know, something around that, $1 or $2 a month, with a little bit of a discount for a yearly, and subsequent maybe a 3-year one or a lifetime one. I'm not sure, but he could certainly make a business model there that would pay for itself and give him a bit of income. I would like to see that. He talks about being a millionaire. I'd like to see the guy do well, ultimately. He gets a lot of negativity because of the way he streams, but I don't wish ill on anybody. I wish him well, and I would certainly be. I'm one of those people who could afford to pay for a subscription. And this brings me on to the FS 2020 pricing. Moving away from Matt's Project Fly. Good luck. Hats off to him. Hope he does well. The FS 2020 stuff, I'm worried. I've watched over the years numerous gaming genres go from, you go and buy the disc, you go and put it in, slowly we move to download based gaming, and then a lot of those gaming genres moved on to subscription based. Driving sims is one of them. MMORPGs, obviously I used to play RPGs, role-playing games. There's a lot of games out there now that are, even if they're not free to play, some of them are obviously free to play. The model bases, they'll be free to play, but then you buy the add-ons or buy the ammunition or perks, twinks, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, a bit sick of 2020, but I've left it a little while before I've really discussed it. I want to see the pricing model, as I said when we took off. I really want to see the pricing model, and how that works out. Subsequent to that, I think you always get a branch of two kinds of gamers, simmers. If I look at the driving sim world, there are still non-subscription based driving games, the likes of Assetto Corsa and Project Cars, R-Factor predominantly, but obviously we do have our subscription based ones. There's iRacing, which is iRacing is a very, very expensive game, sim. So I think you're always going to get that diversity of two different types of simmers, the ones that can afford it, and the ones that ultimately can't. And there's always those two types of gamers. I think it's going to take a lot to get me off of X-Plane. That said, in the past, Flight Sim has always been a very, how should we say, eye candy rich. And X-Plane has always been the simulator for people who want a real world flight experience, a more simulated flying experience. Yes, it's nice to have all the eye candy, but ultimately the only things you see up close and personal are the airports, unless you ditch it into the ground or are flying exceptionally low. The only stuff you're really going to see is the departure airport and the departure destination airport. Yeah, it's nice to fly around the city, it's nice to be able to see London. Currently I think there could be improvements to X-Plane to bring it up to very close to FS20. It's nice to have a race. I like to have a race. As I was saying I was having a conversation with someone the other day, maybe in Spagos, that X-Plane spent how long? 15, 20 years playing catch up, and it never really did catch up. It was only the fact that Microsoft stopped development of Flight Sim that X-Plane became the leader. And Austin, bless him, he moves at the pace of evolution. So I think what we will see is FS20 will become the market leader, and X-Plane will start playing catch up again in the position it was always in. But we're back in the race again. It's back into the things will progress, things will move along. Yep, couldn't agree more. We had P3D. Yeah, I didn't actually get into P3D. I was lucky enough to start catching on X-Plane. I've actually realised I started playing X-Plane back on 7 and 8. I didn't really get into it until the new GI, which I think was GUI, which I think was in version 10. And that just got me. I just started buying some of the stuff for P3D, but I quickly flicked to X-Plane because I didn't want to start buying it all again. I was kind of like, if I'm going to buy it all again, I'm going to buy it for X-Plane, not for P3D. And yeah, Austin is totally nuts, but an absolute wonder of a gentleman. He's a bit like Matt, I suppose, in that he's a Marmite kind of guy. You either love him or hate him. Right, let's just check how we are doing. Yeah, we're not too bad. We probably could go right a little bit. So we're kind of just flying by dead reckoning here. I'm not, if you haven't noticed, I'm not keeping any navigation equipment. We are just dead reckoning. We'll see if we can find it. Right, pootling along, 190k. Way out over the sea. Oh, I never noticed that before. We're getting the little flicks off the wingtips. Yeah, watching V1 Sims stream the other day, as I mentioned, it was incredible watching a real world pilot interact with the MCDU in the Airbus. Thoroughly, I'll probably learned more in 30 minutes of watching him than I've learned in 15 years of flying Airbuses in a simulator. Really good stream. Thoroughly enjoyed that. It's the flying banana, it certainly is. Dougie, it's affectionately known as Dougie. I'm guessing it's a real world aircraft. I haven't done any research on it, I just saw it in the liveries, the default liveries, and was like, okay. Yeah, V1 Sim seems like a really cool guy. I've been on his stream a few times, but that's the first few times I've spoken on his stream. I did have a little joke for that. When he got to the gate at the end, you obviously saw my joke about the aircraft having a nice tired worn look, a bit like my ex. I was going to say, as he parked at the gate, it looked even more like my ex when the little fella wasn't popping up and doing his thing. Just the little gate marshal wasn't doing his thing. But I thought I'd leave that one. It was a... 'cause, 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 I want to say a big thanks out to all my viewers, everyone who likes and thanks, puts the thumbs up on the channel. Many thanks for watching, many thanks for joining, many thanks for staying with me. I do wish this cockpit was a bit brighter. It is a bit too dark. There must be some lights somewhere. Probably missing some lights. Cabin lights doesn't seem to work. The hot heater. Wonder what that is. There is a cabin light up there, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Certainly doesn't seem to make it much brighter anyway. Very, very well modelled. There is some comm radios then. I didn't notice them before. Okay. The instrument lights only turns up the instruments, I think. Sorry about the ice cream vans. There's nothing I can do about them. Okay, Dougal, take care, buddy. We will catch up soon, my friend. Take very good care and hopefully see you on the next one. Gone a bit left now. I probably need to go back. Probably need to go back left a bit. Let's have a sip of tea. Cheers.
UID 13.
Well, kind of hoping we don't go down. And yes, that is saying 80 FPS. There's not much to this aircraft, so you get pretty good FPS. So I'm probably about halfway, just looking at the Project Fly projection. My ground speed is actually a little bit higher than what it says. It says we're doing 190 knots, but we're actually doing a little over 200 knots ground speed. Actually, let me double check which DC3 this was. Don't know, but I'm sure there must be a newer version. But there you go, not even sure which version of the DC3 I'm flying. I'd have to check on X. No, still the same one, and this is... trying to figure out which one it was. Is it a So this is leading edge simulations. Pretty old now, it's about 4 years old. Still does what it said it was going to do. Just be a DC3, which is exactly what it is. As I say, I have a big affection for this aircraft back from the days when I used to fly for Fly Ace. it looks like from the right seat.
Unable to find view ID 9.
Okay, not all my views are set up. Apologies for that. There's a lot of rivets holding this aircraft together. I think it's mostly rivets. So one of the other crazy things you can do is what they call visit the privy. So we're just in the bathroom at the moment. Quick wash of the hands, and off we go. Sip of tea.
Charging battery.
So that's the airport we got to find. pretty good. We're on course. Okay. I'm just having a little look at VVCI events later on this evening. Starting at 11 PM UTC until 3 AM. We have KPHL to KBOS, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it'll be Philadelphia to Boston. Yeah. Boston Virtual ARTCC is teaming up with ZNY to bring you the special 4-hour edition of the regional circuit featuring Philadelphia, KPHL, Boston, KBOS. I'm thinking I might jump on that later on this evening. I was actually looking to see if there was anything on in Europe, but there's not. That's the only thing on tonight. And I'm going to look up the flights. I'm going to see what is available. Let's have a look at KPHL to KBOS. Oh, okay, so we've got 319s, Embraer 190s, CRJ2s, 9s, A321s, 752, A752, 763. Oh, we've got quite, yes, we've got a lot of different aircraft types flying between that. Oh, yeah, we will be on that this evening. We're going to be testing our VVCI Swift client on that this evening, and I think I'm not going to give anything away yet, but I've got a feeling might fly something a bit different, something I've never flown before. Okay, but there is a lot of flights, a lot of different choice. Might see if one of the, might see if we can get someone along for a co-pilot ride. Oh, I might have some ideas. I might have some ideas. Do stay tuned. Keep an eye out for the further announcements, further notifications. That's the word I'm looking for. Right, we're not too far out now, probably 2/3 of the way there. Need to be turning a bit right. We need to have gone a bit off course again. Keeps doing this. See, unfortunately this isn't an online VVCI flight, but we will look to do one later. I might even do between now and that one this evening. I might jump on a Europe, go out Gatwick or something, considering I might do it in VR as well. Have to let me know if you like the VR flights or not, whether they're worth watching, because I don't think you get the same sensation as the person who's in the VR. I could be wrong, perhaps it is worth watching. Let me know in the comments, let me know in the chat. Probably still a bit off course, are we? Yeah, probably need to come back still a bit more. Sip of tea. So we have actually departed out of China. We're heading towards Vietnam. We are in the smile in the sky that is a DC3. Dougie. As he seems to be affectionately known. Oh, we seem to have some land over there to our right. Finally. Land ahoy, as they say. So is that where we need to be headed? Could be. No, probably. Yeah, we're on a good course, I think. Could be a little bit more right, but I haven't really monitored the engines at all this flight, which is bad. Well, we're nearly there now, so the engines haven't blown up yet, so I can't imagine they're going to. I believe, I seem to recall from this aircraft, if you're flying higher and it starts getting colder, the engines need to maintain their warmth. You have to close the cowl flaps because we're down quite low and it's still quite warm down here. I've left the cowl flaps open. So I think if we go not quite a wing view, but engine view. Now there's a view I'd pay to see. Get out over the engine stroke wing of a DC3. Yes, please. Some more islands popping up by the looks of it. Oh, looks like we've got a big section of land popped up for us now. Yeah, I'm definitely missing some lights in here somewhere. Oh wow, the light is on. Makes almost no difference down here. Oh well, it's nice to bring this old bird out again. I haven't flown it for a long time. A long time. Okay, we've probably gone a little bit too far right now. Yeah, we could probably climb a bit more. For a tiny winds of power. Don't think it makes any difference because we're on the autopilot. Let's do pitch. Up, yep. And down will be down, we hope. Right, we'll go up a little bit. As I say, it's totally dead reckoning flying today. We are literally just flying to that airport. I know it's in that little spot over by Haiphong. We'll see how well we can land this, because this aircraft is tremendously difficult to land. As I recall, likes to try and throw you off the runway. Could be the money shot for the day. Right, today we are landing on runway 7. So I think what we'll do is probably have a little flyover and then go from there. Oh dear, into the pea soup. Right, we need to go down. So right, that big long highway there, I think is... We've got to follow that. A couple of ships crossing down there. A couple of ferries, probably. But yeah, I think that big long road there, we follow that. And it should be towards the end of that, a bit to the right, is our runway. So... Yep, there's our airport over there. I see it now. Cool. Right, let's get ready to rumble. As I say, the scenery doesn't look anything special. It is ortho scenery, but for some reason it just doesn't. This part of the world doesn't come out particularly well. Maybe it will as we get a bit closer in. Oh, those clouds just look awesome. Right, we're coming in on runway 7, so I'm going to do a downwind leg. Have I installed? Yeah, Black Knight 344. Welcome along to the flight. Welcome along to the stream, sir. Thanks for joining. Yeah, copied all what you said there. Full rich, Cal Flaps, prop, all good. Have I installed Xpilot? I haven't at the moment. I was always a Swift. Well, I switched to Swift, and I've actually now stuck with Swift. I did mention a little bit earlier, after this flight, I'll probably give myself a little bit of a break, but I'm going to come back on later on and do a Swift flight. I'll possibly do 2 flights. I'm going to try and do one maybe in Europe, one out of Gatwick. And later on this evening I see there's a VVCI event over in the US from Philadelphia to Boston. So there's a good chance I might try and jump on that as well. Right, we probably need to start. We'll start throttling back a bit, so we're a bit slower. stay about where we are on the descent, 1,500, it's good for me. Continue decelerating. I don't want to go too far, so I don't want to get out of sight of the runway. It's quite foggy out there. Let the speed bleed off a bit more. A little bit of flat. I did actually have a bit of a chat with XP because, yeah, you don't need the AFV with the new version of Swift. The alpha version of Swift 0.9.3 has the AFV installed. A little bit more flaps. I'm going to go gear down. And upon touchdown, I need to remember to unlock the tail wheel once we get a bit slower. Need to remember to unlock the
Flaps. Flaps.
Well, the river is there. I can see the river off out to our left, so alright, we need to start getting into the descent.
Too high. Too high. Too high. Too high.
Yeah, we are getting very high. I'm happy with that. We're back down to where we should be. Come out of the throttles. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, 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 no. Whoa. I tapped the brakes on. That was a bad move. Have I killed the engines? Oh well. Up until that point, it looked good. Well, we're here safely. Just quickly end that flight. Let's we'll do that. And we'll have a quick look at a replay. That didn't quite go to plan at the end there. That definitely didn't go quite to plan. Should have let it carry on rolling out. I tapped the brakes by mistake. There you can see the flaps underneath, just notching them out a little bit. We did get a bit high on the approach. Yeah, I did kind of know it was a hard aircraft to land. I was glad I got it down. Almost got it stopped. Well, there's the destination airport. Anyway, that's about. It's not the greatest of airports. There's nothing to it really. I think it's one of them prefab ones. How did we go? Oh, that was pretty gentle. Off centre. Mass is a right rudder. Oh, too much left rudder. I should have killed the engines much sooner. What happened? I think I tapped the brakes now. No? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, and the props hit the ground. Do you land on all three wheels? No, I think you land on the main gear, and then you come down on the tail gear in a tail dragger. I think. Could be wrong. Was probably a bit fast. I'm fairly sure you come down on the main gear, and then you will let the aircraft decelerate, and this comes down onto the tail dagger. Dagger. I believe there's much more suspension in the main gear. This is only, it's kind of for steering and stability at the rear, I believe. But yeah, don't need to watch that tip over again. Probably felt a bit odd in the cabin. Fairly hard in the cabin. But right, as I always say, it's keep it happy, keep it smiley. You sometimes make mistakes, and that's okay. I'm live streaming, so unfortunately I tapped the brakes at the wrong time there, and this aircraft definitely doesn't like having the brakes tapped at the wrong time. Don't, because you break the props like that. But there we go. We did arrive at the destination. You're more than safe to depart, deboard from the aircraft on the runway. They've closed it down for us. Thanks very much. I hope you've enjoyed flying with Dougie, as it was called. As I say, the smile in the sky, Dougie. I don't know if that is a real website. I don't know if this is a real aircraft. Yeah, I definitely was probably. I was above really where I should have been on the glide slope, but it's a tricky aircraft to fly, to land. I'm glad we got on the ground. But as I say, I'm probably going to get ready for another flight. Do one this evening, maybe 6 PM my time, which will be an hour or two from now. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Thank you all very much for joining. It's you guys who make this channel worth doing. If you are enjoying the whole round the world tour, do check out the rest of them. I'm going to go and get another cup of tea. As I say, I'm not promoting a previous employer there. Thanks ever so much for joining. Hope to see you on the next one. This is FTP signing out. Take care. Bye bye.